hope you're having as much fun as I am, witches. Oh, I'm having like X-Men 97 levels of fun. And on that note, I have put together an ensemble to go with the show, thanks to many of your encouragement. So thank you for that. And you know, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. Now, with this brew, we have so much to go over. All right, so buckle up, right? So with this brew, clearly the magic ingredient is Miss Jack Schaefer. Oh, I hope she gets her flowers for this show. I hope things go well for her. I'm nervous. Didn't go so well for the creator of the end of the Acolyte was awful. Even I couldn't defend it at that point. But do you think this show is stronger out of the gate than The Acolyte? I know a lot of us have been nervous, but now that you've seen it as well, are you as confident that I am that recent history will not repeat itself? All right, so just like with WandaVision, Jack Schaefer creates a rich mystery with many, many, many layers and so many Easter eggs about witchcraft and also the MCU. On that note, while Sam Raimi and Michael Waldron couldn't be bothered to watch WandaVision or even read the scripts, because of course it had not been completed when they started putting together Multiverse of Madness, and I'm never going to forget this because it was so horrific how this turned out. I mean, the movie had its moments for sure. Oh, we're going to talk about it because they come into play here. But it was pretty awful what happened. Elizabeth Olsen even shot a little bit, a little shade at them the other day on Kimmel. So while they didn't bother to watch Jack Schaefer's work, Jack Schaefer checked out theirs. As I said, so much to discuss. I don't even think Marvel needed to drop 2 episodes at first. I think 1 episode would have been enough. What do you think of that choice? I think they did it because they want to wrap things up by Halloween. Start earlier then, man. But they didn't. So they're doing a double debut and a double ending, which I guess is a nice trick and treat for us under the circumstances. But there's almost too much to digest here. And I wouldn't have aired 2 episodes to start with. But maybe you needed the second one to sell you on the show. I'm curious to hear your reaction. Again, I've seen the first 4 episodes, but I've been very careful not to give away any of the things I've learned in the next 2 episodes. So I think the most interesting thing to me when I rewatch these 2 episodes to do my notes is how much Agatha and Wanda are really alike. And purple and red, by the way, I just thought of this. Purple and red are next to each other on the color spectrum. Because, purple, of course, is blue and red, which is, whoever teen is. I have a new theory on teen, and that actually works with it. Oh, I'm having such a good time. Thanks, Jack Schaefer. So yes, they're very much alike. They're both victim and attacker. They've played both roles at this point. They're both famous, but also vilified. Both have found themselves now lost in TV hallucinations. And this is the kicker. Both have lost sons. That to me was what really pulls it together. That to me is fascinating. Now in the comics, Agatha was the nanny for Billy and Tommy. But I wonder if here, teen could end up being a mix of Wanda and Agatha's sons, Billy and Nicholas Scratch. I would allow it because I think that's very clever. At the very least, the loss of her son for Agatha is clearly why she has a bit of a soft spot for teen. That and someone has bewitched him so that she can't learn anything about him, which I'm just as fascinated as she is. Does that look like an M on his mouth for Maximoff? I'm curious. It creates a compelling puzzle that intrigues Agatha. And also, if someone's gone through so much trouble to hide him from her, and, well, let's just say from her, he must be valuable in some way. And so she decides to keep him around. Again, I'm very intrigued by so much stuff. All right, so the first episode is about Agatha breaking out of Wanda's spell with the help of not only her ex-lover Rio, but her potential surrogate son, Teen. I think it's so funny they all call him Teen. You'll notice that Agatha has been trapped in this spell, they reveal, for 3 years. And what do you know? WandaVision came out 3 years ago in 2021. I love stuff like that. But for just the past few days, we learned she's been acting all true crimey because Wanda has died. That's right, it's been confirmed. Wanda is dead, which Elizabeth Olsen herself kind of confirmed on Kimmel the other day, but said, who's to say, being that she's a witch, she can't come back to life. And I'm like, oh, I like where you're going here, Wanda. Jack Schaefer, whole team. So, Wanda is dead, and it's broken into the spell that she cast on Agatha, and it's made Agatha go into this new hallucination of a TV crime show. Wanda's death is literally broken into the spell in multiple ways. All right, so the first is a dead body, which prompts this whole Mayor of Easttown bit, complete with its own opening credit sequence, where the citizens of the town get billing. But my favorite joke here was based on the Danish series WandaVision. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, can I please see a promo for that show? All right, the whole mayor, I gotta tell you, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany could pull off Danish. All right, so the whole Mayor of Easttown hallucination is exceptionally well done. They did a very good job mimicking that show. And I believe they chose this show, not just because the episode calls for a murder investigation, and they also need a TV show because, they're spinning off of WandaVision, so they want to stay TV based. We'd been trying to guess what the theme was for what they've picked here, for, the TV shows that they, do a take on. I believe that they're picking shows that typically have female leads, and you'll see that as Agatha All Along progresses. And that's all I'll say. Now, again, big thanks to all of you who told me to read James Robinson's Secret Witch comic. I checked it out at the last minute. It's actually not bad. But there, it's Wanda who investigates some murders in the early issues. So clearly, Jack Schaefer has been inspired. And you'll see this pop up a little bit later on in my breakdown just for today's episodes, this comic. So you should go check it out. It's a quick read. I got the first two. If you sign up for Comixology, the first two volumes are part of that. You get them at no extra cost. So I think it's worth checking out if you really want to get your Agatha on. So that was very good. So murder investigations were a big part of the comic, but here they've flipped it around and Wanda's death is the one being investigated. So she was crushed, just like she was in Multiverse of Madness, by the Darkhold Castle, which she destroyed. The soil under her fingernails is from Eastern Europe. Hello, Mount Wundagore. And of course, her clothes mirror how she looked in many of the sequences of Multiverse of Madness. And the library card. Mwah! Ah, Jack, you're beautiful. You're so smart. It turns out, of course, that it's The Darkhold. A book! Oh, that's so great. Who is Andrew Uggo, right? Chthon, I forget how you're supposed to pronounce it. Chthon, who I heard might be the villain in the upcoming Wanda movie if they get to make it, but he wrote The Darkhold. But is this an alias for him? Is it a disciple of his? Jack Schaefer, particularly after her experience with WandaVision, where she realized how deep we dig, she said she's trying not to have any misleading things anymore. So she wouldn't have highlighted that name the way that she did if it wasn't important. So let's remember it. But this is just so well done with the book. So the books in the library burned. Why did they burn? Well, because in Multiverse of Madness, the Darkhold burned when one of Doctor Strange and Wong's disciples sacrificed herself, a woman did it, to destroy the Darkhold. And while at first Wanda's name is revealed on the library card, Agatha is then revealed as the person who took out the Darkhold before her. Oh my goodness, so good! And it gets even better. All right, then why not actually show Wanda? They make it clear that it's Wanda, the dead body with scarlet hair. Did they not want to pay Elizabeth Olsen? Methinks that might be part of it, but I also think they know how much we want it. They don't want to do it too fast. I hope it's a delicate art to not go too fast, but not go too slow. But I'm starting to have a lot of faith in Jack Schaefer. So I think what they have here is a very good tease. And because Jack Schaefer and her team are so good at weaving a mystery, a good one, you can trust it. You can go along with it. You can let yourself enjoy it. So you're like, it's Wanda. It's Wanda, right? It's got to be Wanda. It's Wanda, right? They're doing a really good job with that. And why is Agatha so afraid to discover that this is Wanda? Shouldn't she be excited? Wouldn't it mean she was free? Even if she doesn't know she's in a spell, but you would think deep down she'd be like, my arch nemesis. But I think it's because she knows that she and Wanda are similar. And if Wanda can die, can Agatha? Oh, it's great. Really well done. All right, let's talk about the two people trying to help her break out of Wanda's spell, especially now that it's been weakened. But I don't think the teen knows about Wanda's death. You know, he's an Agatha Harkness stan, which is going to be crazy awkward if he does turn out to just be Billy, right? You'd be like, oh, Wanda, your son's obsessed with me. I love it. But Rio knows that Wanda is dead and she's come for her ex-lover. These hallucination scenes between Han and Plaza are amazing. Oh, they're just so good. The dynamics at play. Speaking of dynamics, you can see how Agatha views each of them and the dynamics of their relationship. Agatha is a scruffy loner, down on her luck. She has very low self-confidence. But she sees her ex-partner, get it? As the sexy, cool, collected person who has all the answers. The FBI, I love it. Much more successful, just really well put together. Rio finds it fascinating, though, as she sees, I gotta tell you, I think Joe Locke's makeup looks pretty nice, too. All right, we'll talk about it. So Rio finds this fascinating as she's seeing a part of Agatha that I don't think she's ever seen before, even though she's known Agatha for like hundreds of years. She's seeing Agatha, finally how Agatha sees herself, and it's shocking to Rio, because clearly that's not how Rio sees her. She's seeing how Agatha sees Rio, right? And I think also she's seeing someone who is a very formidable witch, which I think is clearly something she's really admired and found attractive about Agatha, suddenly very weak. And at the mercy of another witch. And I think it affects Rio because clearly, you know, she still is very much in love with Agatha. And again, as I said, I don't believe that Rio has ever seen Agatha like this. And speaking of looking, great eye acting from Aubrey Plaza in particular. She never actually says it, but it just radiates off of her that that Agatha is in the spell and she is not. They're in the exact same scene, but you can tell who is locked in and who isn't. And Rio is gently trying to push Agatha to break out of it. I think that's great. I love the question she asked her. She's like, oh, have you traveled around a lot? And when she saw that it was pushing Agatha maybe a little too hard, she would back off. I thought that was great. We'll talk more about Aubrey Plaza in a minute once we're out of the spell along with Agatha. Because, they have another meet cute. But first, I want to talk about Teen. Or actually, scratch that. I want to talk about the person who came before him, Nicholas Scratch. Agatha's son, who she named a rabbit after, Senor Scratchy. Seeing his room in her hallucination with the moon theming, which comes from witchcraft, is very moving. But also I thought it was interesting that they added a focus on music. With this and Lorna Wu having a famous song, the ballad about the Witch's Road, clearly Jack Schaefer is tying music in with magic here. I think it's always tied in with magic and witchcraft, but I think, they're making it a very strong connection on this show. So I think it's an interesting and deliberate choice with Nikki here. By the way, in the comics, Nicholas Scratch also took over a small town himself, just like Wanda did in WandaVision. I have to say Jack Schaefer is not a comic book fan, and I don't think she reads any other comic outside of her purview, but I respect her for doing the homework she needs to. As for Teen, what do you think of Joe Locke? For those of you who don't watch Heartstopper, you finally have met him. What do you think? I love his American accent. He's British. Heartstopper is a British show, but I was like, I love it. I love it already. And as I said, his makeup is phenomenal. His fantastic, delicate, smoky eye. It seems a little heavy-handed when you look at him dead on, but when he lifted his head and I saw how he did his under eye, I was like, what kind of brush are you using? That's incredible. He's also fantastically bitchy here. With some great lines. My favorite in this episode, when he said what he was looking for was the respect of your peers in a fulfilling home life, but you're fresh out of both. That was great. And then in the other episode, when Agatha calls something ironic, he says, I think you mean iconic. They were great lines, delivered fantastic. But what's really great about the interrogation scene is how Wanda's spell starts to really fall apart here. And we actually start to discover that we've never left Agatha's house. The crime scene photos, her front yard. The interrogation room, the living room. That painting, I was looking through the episode when I looked at it again, and it's in the living room. We even find out that she had a pretend car that she was honk driving around. And that's what drove her to the morgue, to confirm and confront Wanda's dead body when it isn't in the photographs. I think both Rio and Teen helped her break out. I thought it was both of them working together. And I think that, I think Teen gets it, but Rio and Agatha clearly are going to have to learn that there's more, it's better to be in a coven than to act solo. And I think that's clearly what this show is about. I see what you're doing there, Jack Schaefer. Get your girls. What is, I'm sorry. Okay, I have to say the saying. So, right? So it's get your girls and your gays and let's go. Let's ride. I love it. Let's walk the road. So Rio is the one who encourages Agatha to claw her way out of Wanda's spell in a fantastic sequence. They gave it away in the trailer, but it played really well here, I thought. And I love the run up to it where she says there are two Jane Does in this mystery. Wanda and Agatha, 2 names to uncover. And again, see, they're the same. I thought that was great. And then they ended this, and I thought that, Catherine Hahn, she's phenomenal here throughout, but she did a great job selling clawing her way, tearing her way through the spell. And it ends with that great Pleasantville Frankenstein style image. And Agatha is then finally free and naked, right? Reborn. And that's why she's naked, which I think is very clever. By the way, shout out to MVP Herb, who also had some great lines in these 2 episodes. You naked. And are you seeing this? Oh, I loved it. And then he dropped his groceries. That was great stuff. Great comedic timing, Herb. I really like how the residents overall were used in these 2 episodes. Like, I think it's a very fun and effective callback to WandaVision, but it doesn't overshadow this new story. But while Agatha has a fresh start, back at square one, it also means no power. No agency, as Rio says. And when Agatha discovers that even her lair is gone, her bunny is still there, though. It's a fat little bunny. I love it. She says she's been mugged. All of her power was taken, and she was left with household appliances. I think on the one hand, it's a joke, but on the other hand, it's sort of a reversal of feminism, right? She was sent back to the home, back to all that care, 1950s housewife. And I thought that was really interesting. And, a lot of 1950s housewives viewed that as a prison. There's been a lot of talk these days about, I think that Agatha All Along is making some really strong points about women. And I think the way that it's doing it very subtly is impressive. And I hope it works out for the show because of that. Wanda's shadow remains even here in the real Westview. They all remember what she did, but they try not to talk about it. Although that doesn't stop someone from writing Evil Witch in red on the property Vision had bought for them. Oh, that was sad. And I think that it makes Agatha sad as well. I mean, she's angry, but I think she's also sad because she's been called evil too. And I think she also, as we're beginning to see, understands Wanda's loss as she suffered a similar loss herself. I love seeing the personality change in Agatha now that she's back to her old self. That was great. Back in purple and back in the Bewitched house. Very nice touch, Jack Schaefer, who is clearly a big Bewitched fan. That's a likeness of Jack Schaefer in the end credits there. I love the end credit sequence, by the way. Don't you think it's just fantastic? I think it's so well done. And you'll notice they have a lot of Disney and also Fox references there because they don't have to pay extra for that. And then Agatha is attacked by Rio. And what are you wearing, Rio? You look amazing. Oh my goodness, the coolest looking witch's outfit I've ever seen. Where did you get those shoes? Salem high fashion for sure. I was so impressed. I used to own a pair of black boots that I loved. They weren't as cool as that. I mean, in my mind they were. I've never been able to find as good a pair of replacement boots. I miss them. And when I saw those boots, as you can see, I like to wear all black. I really loved that outfit. I was like, wow. And then when she levitated, it was so great. And her blowout, it was amazing. Usually Aubrey Plaza would be playing the Agatha role here. So that's interesting to me because Catherine Hahn has taken that. Now Aubrey Plaza is playing, she's reminding me of Uma Thurman's Poison Ivy. A performance, by the way, I hated because that's not what Poison Ivy is supposed to be like. But for some reason, I like it on Aubrey Plaza. It's amazing to see her like this. Her hair and makeup are not only on point, but she knows how to work it. I'm extremely impressed with this transformation. Her fight with Agatha is very sexy. It's sexy among all other above all else. And as a newborn, so to speak, Rio points out that Agatha is vulnerable. But Agatha says only physically. But the tear in her eye says different. Oh, that was an amazing back and forth. And it was like just one of a gabillion here. I love the joke when Rio said a lot of people want Agatha dead to burn, hang, or drown. And Agatha says, what, no new options? Which is a fantastic joke about that being all the ways they've killed witches for centuries. And so I thought that was a good burn. I thought that was good. We also learned that Rio has a power that Agatha cannot absorb or it would kill her. Another intriguing mystery to solve. So who else wants Agatha dead? It's the Salem Seven. And I loved the callback, very brief, but to Wanda's creepy moves in Multiverse of Madness. One of the best things one of the only good things that Sam Raimi added to the lore. And I think Jack Schaefer liked it too. But does that mean that dark magic powers the Salem Seven? Forget Black Fingers. They seem to be entirely covered in black magic, which I find interesting. For now, Rio and Agatha call a truce, with Agatha feeling that she convinced Rio to back off because she would, doesn't Rio want Agatha to be back at her full power to make it more satisfying, right? But as I said, I think clearly Rio still loves Agatha. And I love the parting line where she said, "I do have a heart, it's black, and it beats for you." And then she licked Agatha's hand and healed it with her tongue. Oh, wow! Couple goals. All right, so the second episode is putting together a coven and entering the Witch's Road. Can you believe it? We could have been done with that, but we keep going. So we learned some cool stuff in this episode, like how a coven is always available to a witch. Always within a 3-mile radius, you'll find the witches that you need. Even if they're not the most powerful, together they will be to do what you need to do. Isn't that a nice idea? I think this show is doing a very good job deepening the mythology to Wanda's corner of the MCU in a way that I think fans will embrace. Very good business decision. Well, I mean, I think so at least. We'll see how the show does. But I can see fans embracing that. Also, you'll notice that every witch has a brooch-like piece of jewelry. Even fake witch Mrs. Hart. That's hilarious. We'll talk about it. But Agatha finds her brooch in her hallucination with the maiden, mother, and crone, the 3 stages of life for women as seen by the patriarchy. I liked Agatha's joke. What, no working professional woman? Obviously, there are so many different types of women. But that was interesting. But whose hair is in the locket? Nicholas? His hair? Rio's? Her own? Another mystery. We learn that Agatha is the only one of them to have actually walked the road before and lived, which is apparently hard to do. Oh, let's raise them stakes. But all these witches are desperate. That's why they're still willing to go. They need to walk the road because the road promises them what they want, what they desire the most, or what they need the most when they get to the end. We've all read this fable, this old wives' tale. We know how it goes. You don't get what you think you want. You get what you actually need. So I can't believe this hasn't occurred to any of them. Haven't they been around for centuries? All right, but anyway, that's why they're willing to walk it, though. And it's very nicely written because it said that they've all reached the end of the roads that they're currently on. Oh, I love it. And this coven, also you'll notice, is intentionally cast to be diverse in both ethnicity and age, with also each of them having their own witch specialty. Which kind of witch would you want to be? I don't really care. I just want to be a powerful witch. And I don't know. I guess I like Catherine, Agatha, and Rio, Teen. And then the other witches are kind of very much supporting witches, let's be honest. All right, so Patti LuPone, who's given this her all, boy. I love how seriously she's taking this, as Lila Calderu. These are all witches' names taken from the comics, but there's only one that we'll talk about that is actually somewhat comics accurate. All right, so in this version, she's around 450 years old, which means she goes way back before Salem, back to Europe, which is interesting. And she's a divination. I can't pronounce it. I have it in my head. Divination witch, whatever. She knows things, including the future. And we learn two important pieces of information when we meet her. That Agatha is a world-famous witch, but actually an infamous world-famous witch. She is not well-liked. And that although I liked Teen's defense of her. He is a proper stan. And that Agatha can only take a witch's power if that witch blasts her with it. And, when things aren't going well towards the end of the episode, she does try to bait them. Then there's Sashir Zamata as Jennifer Kale, a potions witch who's also bound, which means she has her magic, but she cannot access it. So instead, for a while now, they said 100 years, so that would put her having lost her magic in the 1920s. She uses her knowledge of potions to run a health and beauty line, which I think is quite clever. Too bad she ended up accidentally really hurting some people, which is why she's got some lawsuits. That's why she needs to walk the witch's road. I love how Teen can get hardcore when he needs to be. He's nice, but he's not stupid, thank you. Next, Alice Wu Gulliver, a protection witch. And this is the witch, story-wise, who is actually the most interesting of the group, of the new additions. I have to say, though, I think the performance here is the most lackluster, though, unfortunately. But first off, she's from, again, the James Robinson run. She's also the daughter of a famous witch and a police detective. She inherited her mother's powers and orange hair, and so she enchants her weapons as a police detective herself as a way of honoring both her parents. But here, things aren't going so well for this Alice. She is an ex-police detective. Here, her mother is Lorna Wu, also dead in both situations. A witch who disappeared on the Witch's Road. But first, she was a famous singer among mortals, and she recorded her own version of the ballad, which has become a famous song, instructions on how to access and walk the Witch's Road. And you'll notice, I don't know if you did, that the title to the 2 episodes so far are lyrics from that song, written and created and scored by the Lopez's of Frozen fame. And I dare say, I don't think it's that level, but it's close. I think this is a very good song. I really liked it. I ended up liking it. I like that it's a harmony. So that means that the group must work together to sing it properly. Oh, get it? Then they also need a green witch, an earth witch, as the song says. And when Lilia had her vision and, was possessed and wrote down who they need for the coven, the last name, she simply drew a black heart, which, Agatha says, oh, the pen was just black. But we, of course, heard what Rio called herself, a witch with a black heart that beats only for Agatha, and so we know that's who it refers to. But Agatha does not want to see Rio for, I think, a multitude of reasons. So she recruits Gardner, Mrs. Hart, her neighbor, to stand in, which is a hilarious idea. And I have to say, Deborah Jo Rupp really does a great job running with that gag. I could see that gag getting old quick, but she's doing a great job with that. And ultimately it works. They enter the Witch's Road, and what an entrance. This is a very well-designed, extension of this world. And the promotional walkthrough at D23 this year should be embarrassed that that's what they offered up as their approximation. If this show is a hit, hopefully the theme parks make a true effort to actually build this thing, because it's very doable. They could definitely build that. I'm looking at you, Boo Bash. Where's my Witch's Road? Is there candy on the Witch's Road? I think there is. They give out a lot of free candy at these Disney parties. I love how they all hesitated to run down into the Witch's Road, but Teen just ran right down past them because the Salem 7 were breaking into the house. And I love that they all took their shoes off to walk the road. And as you can see in the beginning of the opening credits, that's part of the instructions. But Wanda, you'll notice, also doesn't have shoes on, as these women connect to the earth through their feet. They have to touch the soil, because nature, of course, is usually another big part of witchcraft. And to see all their shoes left standing there as they walk off down the road, I thought was a very nice image. So what did you think of the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along? They're finally here, baby. Witches, right? What do you love? What has surprised you? What do you maybe not like so much? Are you cooking up any theories yet? Plus, how did you celebrate the debut? Share your thoughts down below. Subscribe today. I'm excited to walk this road with you. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.